Hey guys, Rob Sperry here. Wanted to give you guys a training. My training for today is on managing expectations, but also dreaming big, which is the complete opposite of each other. And so I've written a bunch of different things on the board here that I want to cover. The first thing is 90% of disappointment comes from unrealistic expectations. But at the same time, I don't feel like anybody's ever accomplished anything great without unrealistic expectations. I look at people like Michael Jordan when he said he wanted to be the greatest player of all time. That wasn't realistic. I look at, and I have it written up here on the board, WS, Will Smith. Go watch one of his inspirational videos. And he said, don't think realistic. So I think it's a huge balance. And so I want to give you guys both sides of the coin. I want to give you guys a little bit of perspective. So I come here to these numbers right here where it says 1, 3, 5, and 7. And again, these aren't exacts, there's nothing to it. It's just being in the industry and learning from other leaders and learning from my own experiences. I'm going to give you what I perceive as averages. It takes most people 1 year to learn how to do this business. It takes them 3 years to make a full-time income. And this is talking about those who are engaged in the business. It takes others 5 years to make a big income and 7 years to make a world-class income. And I was always taught that, and I appreciated that because it gave real perspective of what a real business is. And so as you look up here on the board, it's got savings. So I look at, as we're talking about this, a little bit perspective, but then we have savings here. When I look at savings, if you had $100,000 in the bank right now, and it just depends on what time of year it is right now, but you'd make about $100 a month. So when people talk about residual income and how much they want it, they don't realize how difficult it is. I have a rental property, and that rental property, it took me years to be able to start cash flowing on it, and now I cash flow a couple $100 a month, but my liability is extremely high. And so residual income is very difficult to come by. It's one of the very important aspects, the power to this business. And so as we give you guys a little bit more perspective on it, I want to draw out some examples here of bonus versus residual, because I hear people saying, you know, someone made a huge check and now all their expectations are really high, and typically either we get way too excited and we're too high when things are going well, and when things are going poorly, we're way too discouraged. And you need to find yourself somewhere in the middle. So I'm going to draw this up really quickly here, so bear with me. Okay, that just looks like scribble scrabble, right? That's your bonus checks, people that are doing this business. It would just be an example, okay? I'm going to draw up another example real quickly. So again, it looks like scribble scrabble. The first one is bonus checks, as it goes ups and downs. You could have a really big month, and then you could have a month that isn't as good. But the residual would be that second graph. It takes time to grow a residual income. That's just standard. It does. It takes time to be able to create that distribution channel. And so I look at that, and I hope that that gives you perspective in this business. But what I really want to finish with is this. I want to finish with what I started. 90% of disappointment comes from unrealistic expectations, but I told you I don't feel like anyone's accomplished anything great without them. So you need to find that balance where you set stretch goals. You set those goals to do whatever you possibly can, and they may be really high, lofty goals. I love what Les Brown says. He says, shoot for the stars, land on the moon. But then you need to be able to go back, and rather than get discouraged because you didn't reach those goals, you need to be able to go back if you didn't reach those goals and reset those goals. Recharge those batteries and say, okay, where were my successes? Where were my failures? What can I do better? And then recapture that vision, and always remember that your why in the business, the reason why you're doing the business, needs to be stronger than your objections. And you always need to treat this like a real business. That's why I tell people, make a 1 year commitment. And when I say 1 year commitment, you can go as fast or as slow as you want. 1 year commitment takes the pressure off. So now you're not freaking out or panicking because you had a bad day or bad week or bad month. But you're always treating this like a business. And I heard another great analogy that was said, this isn't a marathon and it's not a sprint in this business. It's a bunch of short races. There are times where you will sprint in this business. There will be times where you will jog in this business because life just happens. I'm about to have my 4th kid, and so I'm going to have a little bit of a jog and a walk and actually a nap in the business for a couple days. But then there are other times where I'm sprinting in this business. So I just wanted to give you guys a little bit of perspective so that we treat this like a real business where we can have high, lofty goals, but at the same time, as we're dreaming big, we also realize that we don't get discouraged because we understand some of these averages that we look at for most people. So look at those and say, you know what? That's great, but I'm going to be different and I'm going to go much faster than that.